A very warm welcome to all of you. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the 140th session of Centa's webinar series for teachers. I hope all of you are keeping safe and healthy. The topic for today's webinar is gamification of learning, and the facilitator for this session is Arka Pravo Banerjee. Warm welcome to you, sir. Arka Pravo sir is a Group A gazetted officer serving government of West Bengal. He topped from Eastern India in Centa TPO 2019. He is the advisor for Tagore Institute, Bangalore, and helps Centa in continuing their mission in West Bengal. Sir has already conducted 3 webinars so far for our Centa community, and we are very grateful to him for giving us his precious time once again for this webinar today. Welcome, sir. Before I hand over the session, I would like to inform all the teachers that they will receive participation certificates for this session. So please do fill out the feedback form that will be shared with you towards the end of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. That was a quick and generous introduction from your side. I guess since we are going live and we have already started to share the screen, good evening to all of you, people who are watching me live right now and people who will be watching me on loop after this webinar is done and dusted. So for them, best wishes. Now, around 10 years back, or maybe 5 years back, both paying and doing exercises were not much of fun. They were boring activities, right? Used to pay by cash and used to do exercises and all that. But thanks to this, maybe this smartwatch, which we wear on our wrists, and thanks to Google Pay and the Paytm, we are finding a lot of fun in doing payments and doing exercises, because what they have done is they have gamified the whole experience for us. Okay, they've gamified it. Like we have to unlock achievements every day by walking a certain amount of distance, or maybe doing a few exercises and all that. And for the same way, doing payments. If we do payments, we get scratch cards, we get Paytm points, maybe cashback points and all that. So they have gamified the entire experience. Now, if they have gamified the whole experience for us as the customers and the service providers, we as teachers can do the same with our students as well. Today, we'll be discussing about how we can gamify the whole experience for our students of our classroom, both online and offline, and how we can get the best out of our classes and our students. Now, before we jump into the presentation, I just have one or two points to make. That is, this presentation is going to be very fast because I'll be sharing around 70, that is 70 different resources, starting from games to activities to apps. So it would be great if you can take a few screenshots of your devices. And if you cannot do that, for that reason, I'll be holding my screen, like my slides, for like 10 to 15 seconds. Without wasting much time further, let us straight jump into our session today. Just give me a yes. Just write yes if you can see my screen here. Just write yes if you can see the title poster or promo poster of this webinar. So I'm getting a lot of yes. Thank you so much. Well, around 20 years back, Microsoft did a study on 2,000 people. Okay, so Microsoft found out that the average attention span for people, for us, was 12 seconds. Okay, just 12 seconds. 15 years after, they did a study again, and they found out that our attention span, average attention span, was of only 8 seconds. That is, only for 8 seconds we could hold our attention, we could focus. On the contrary, a goldfish has an average attention span of 9 seconds. Kudos to evolution. Let's move on. This is phone of learning. This happens after 2 weeks when we go through a lesson. After going through a lesson, 2 weeks after this, we tend to remember this much. Okay. At the bottom, you can see we can remember 90% of what we do. That is a part of active learning. On the other hand, 10% or 20% of what we read and hear, or even see and hear, 50% of that, we can only retain in our brain. So the best bait for us, the teacher, would be to go for labs and exercises, gamification, and community learning. We can go for dramatic presentations, exhibitions, and something hands-on, so that the students can remember and retain at the same time. Now, before moving on, I'd like to cut the presentation short and let us focus on a particular video that I have in store for you. For 3 minutes, kindly pay attention. Don't be a human being. Try to be a goldfish.
Gamification, by definition, is the use of game design and mechanics to enhance non-game contexts. After all, people currently spend 3 billion hours a week playing video and computer games. From an educational context, incorporating game elements into lesson plans to motivate students and make learning enjoyable is hardly new. But as gaming technology grew more sophisticated, there came the introduction of serious games based on strategy, time management, and role-playing elements, further enhancing the potential offered by gamification. Gamification focuses on extracting the underlying principles of games and asking whether an education experience can be reconfigured to build on those principles. A successful gamification program will use 4 freedoms of play. The freedom to fail, allowing mistakes to be made with little consequence. The freedom to experiment, allowing players to explore and discover new strategies and pieces of information. The freedom to assume different identities, encouraging players to see problems from a different perspective. And the freedom of effort, with games that allow players to go through periods of intense activity and relative inactivity. In 2009, the New York City-based Institute of Play established 2 fully gamified high schools under the principles of gamification. For many classes, the activities are not internet-enabled, but involve role-playing and classroom exercises. Gamification is not a universal panacea. It is vital to ensure that students are not isolated by the technology, nor do they tumble into the pitfall of expecting immediate rewards for their efforts, but instead find value in learning itself. If gamification is to provide value to schools, projects must be carefully designed to address valid challenges for the schools, focusing on specific areas where gamification can provide the maximum value. The programs must be designed to suit the objectives of the classroom, working with an existing curriculum, rather than introducing an entirely new activity, which may be beyond the student's capabilities. The system requires a strong commitment of both time and money, with administrative support beyond the first attempt to take gamification from a trial concept to a platform, and subsequently refining it. The right mechanisms should be chosen for the class, targeting the right students, which often is the most challenging element. In tandem with the creation of gamified projects, meaningful assessments of whether they are achieving their aims must be developed. The combination of an increased focus on student engagement and the possibilities provided by digital learning make gamification a powerful tool for educators. However, it is a tool that must be implemented carefully. Ultimately, gamification should make learning fun rather than sugarcoating what could be seen as a bitter but necessary experience.
All right, then we are done with the video. I guess you have some hold of the video and what you tried to say or convey. Now, moving on to the next slide, uh, this is what the difference between game-based learning and gamification is, or are rather. The game-based learning is when a type of active learning experience takes place within a game framework. In this case, Monopoly is a game-based learning. You learn a lot of stuff to, like, you learn buying and selling and holding onto your property through Monopoly, the game. But again, gamification is Paytm payments, getting Paytm points. So you are gamifying. You are you are allotting badges and leaderboards, and you are allotting stars, and you're making the whole experience gamified. So that's the difference between game-based learning and gamification. Right. So the thing is, these are the examples of gamification the classroom include. So you can go for bingo type sheets, you can go for worksheets, you can go for flash time worksheets and all. You can go for points and star system and leaderboards, and you can gamify the whole experience. Now, I would like to ask one question. People who are joining me right now, please listen to this question carefully. I'm sure most of you are teachers or have taught somewhere, sometime. So, what are the games you have put to use in the classroom? Just name a few, one or two games. What are the games you use in the classroom? Can you write it in the comments box? You have 10 minutes around, 10 seconds rather. You don't have 10 minutes. Uh, can you name 10 games, or maybe can you name one or two games so which you put to use in the classroom? Yes, Kahoot, Ludo, Carom, word games, bingo, guess the term, role play. Excellent, excellent. I knew that you'd have your answers. I'm sure. Quizzes, puzzles, Simon Says, flashcards, Sudoku, quiz again. Quiz is a lovely game. I mean, you can uh, cover almost any subject through quizzes. Excellent. So moving on. Around 2 years back, I published a paper on different games and all. You can check that out. It came out in JELT, that is Journal of English for English Language Teaching, September October issue. There, I mentioned that there's a tripartite structure to a particular class where I'm trying to teach the intricacies of tense. Okay, so description stands for I use description for explaining present tense or particles of present tense to the students. I would ask the students, a group of students, or maybe it's a single student, to describe a particular dish, maybe a particular piece of furniture, a ceiling fan, or blackboard, and they will probably say it is a kulfi. It has this and that. The plate is white in color. I am eating right now. So the different particles of present tense. So we're done with the present tense. Now moving on, nostalgia, the past. We're talking about the past. So I would ask the students of different groups to talk about their past, their childhood days, their school days, like early childhood and all, and they would answer in a way like I was in that standard back in 2016 or 17 maybe. I used to do this and that. I was standing under the roof and this such and such thing happened with me. So this is how you would gamify a session, a class rather. Okay. So somebody who would come up with the most number of sentences using the principles of like the particles of present and past would be declared the winner. Again, since we are done with the present and the past, let us talk about the dream part. That is the future part. What do you want to become in your life? So if somebody comes up with 10, 15 sentences regarding the dream or the future, using the future tense to a certain extent. For example, I'll become a doctor. I would like to treat the poor people free of cost, and I'll be serving the nation to my best ability. So that is how they would answer the questions. And with this tripartite structure, one English teacher can actually put to use the gamified learning part of it. Okay, so you can gamify the whole experience. Now, since I'm a I'm a teacher of English, so it would be unfair on most of us, on most of you, if I keep churning out examples from my subject. So I have prepared a lot of examples which comes from which come from other subjects as well. Like what is the benefit of, by the way, what is the benefit of this exercise, like nostalgia, like description, nostalgia, dream? It's simple and gradual development. You give the students enough time to take pace, and then they can uh, ultimately grasp the concept. It's a controlled practice. You as a teacher control the entire environment. You're controlling the game part, and it provides the students time to adjust. I've already said that. Now, another exercise, another game to a certain extent, which I put to use in the classroom is Cornered. Again, it was in the paper, which I published back in 2020. I would ask a group of students, like four students, a particular group would consist of four students. I'd ask the students to go to each and every corner of a room, and I'd ask them to have a conversation with each other. So the group with the maximum number of questions and answer will be declared the winner. Okay, so it works. The benefits are it works as an excellent icebreaker. You have to communicate. You have to interact. It's a confidence booster as well. It's interesting because you are moving from one part to another, like you're moving from your seat to the corner of the room. It's a bit tweaking to a certain extent. It's flexible and it's semi-controlled. Mostly you are involved as a teacher, but the students take control ultimately. So, what's a game? The anatomy of a game. How would you define a perfect game that you are trying to play inside the classroom, or both online or offline? A perfect game has goals and rules and challenges. If you are trying to play the game, like if you want your students to play the game, you have to keep in mind that those rules and challenges are very important. But the most important part is the feedback part. See, what happens is in a class of 50 or 60 students, we the teachers not always can pay attention to detail regarding each and every student. Here, the game and its feedback can actually help us as teachers. Okay, because what happens is if you are playing a game, if you are gamifying the whole experience, you get an instant feedback. Your student unlocks a level, your student unlocks a leaderboard, and he or she gets instant feedback. Okay, so I guess that is how a perfect game should be constructed. So for your sake, I have constructed a few games covering different subjects. So now I'll be presenting, like I'll be mentioning each and every of those. So innovative games number one. So we have around 6 games here. Move. It stands for mimic others' voice every time. Move. So here, what happens is you would ask a student or a group of students to mimic each other. Okay, mimic each other's voice rather. It trains them on voice modulation. It is important that you understand how to captivate your audience, and it should start from very early age. So it actually should help them to go for elocution and singing as well. And at the same time, when they grow up, they could actually develop a handy amount of convincing skills as well, persuasion skills as well with their voice, because our voice is a very important tool to convince someone. Lexi Flexi is when you ask your students, a group of students, to open at any page of a particular dictionary, and the first word they get on the right side of the page, the first word they get, they have to make a sentence out of it. So it's fun. Okay, the students would be eager to discover what's on the platter, what's waiting for them. Okay, so Lexi Flexi is when you use dictionary to its best use. The game anatomy is actually very fine. I mean, the best part about playing a game is you keep yourself. It keeps you on your toes almost always. You discover a lot. You try to discover. You wait to discover a lot. So verbal chair is when a student or a group of students are they're asked about a particular word and its antonyms and synonyms. Each and every group has to come up with most number of antonyms and synonyms, and the group which fails to do that for the longest period of time, they will go out of the class, and the other people, the other students, will occupy the chairs. Okay, it is very much like musical chair, but a bit tweaked. I would definitely rather discuss about each and every game if I get questions from your side on a particular game or not. Smart Tank, obviously, it's much in vogue. It is inspired by Shark Tank. When you ask a group of students to present their ideas and sell anything that they want to. They have to convince the teachers to buy something or to invest in their ideas. They can get anything, like they can get a pen, they can get a duster, they can get anything from their home, and they have to present that. It actually helps them to have a very good pitch. It is important that you have your elevator pitch ready. You should be able to convince about your abilities and your capacities within a minute. So if you want your students to grow up like that, or become someone who has a very good pitch about himself or herself, you can actually think about giving them a practice on this smart tag. Question person is, as a teacher, you would wait for the students to ask you questions of different kind, even the silly ones would do, because questioning is an art. This actually gives them enough practice on uh, the art of questioning. Okay, so the person with the most number of questions, valid or invalid, doesn't matter. You would build that person, you turn that person as the question person of the week or maybe of the month. Position is, it almost always happens with us, most of us rather, even for the experienced teachers, that they go into a classroom and there is like pandemonium all around and huge chaos and all. What they can do is they can practice the students on this particular activity, position and ease. Like uh, it's like statue and go kind of thing. So you enter a classroom and then if people are actually making chaos, you just shout position, and they have to like be statue. You have to stand like a statue, and then you say ease, and they ease their tension and they settle down and all. So it actually is a very good. It serves your purpose as a teacher. It actually immediately takes the attention of your students, and at the same time, you are gamifying the whole experience. You are not chiding them, you are not rebuking them, you're not having a quarrel in the classroom, but at least you are gamifying the whole experience for your own sake, by the way. Merger happens when you ask the seniors and juniors to take like to sit in a combined classroom. Okay, it happens a lot. We take combined classes, but then you can actually gamify the whole experience again. You can give them a task, and you ask both class 6 and both class 8 and class 6 to solve a particular problem. And if class 6 actually solves the problem in a better way, you declare them the winners. And this gives them a lot of confidence because they are topping their seniors. This gives them enough confidence for the rest of the week at least. And again, at the same time, for class 8, it is a matter of pride, keeping the pride alive. So they would take that seriously and they would give it their best. So you can go for merger, like merging classes and all that. You can gamify the whole experience again. Walking history is when you draw the map of maybe India, and then you ask your students, a group of students, to stand on the place at the place where Taj Mahal is supposed to be, or maybe say any other monument, Victoria Memorial is supposed to be. So they stand right there, and that is how they can pinpoint the place where that monument belongs to or situated at. Cook and serve or mix and match. You can ask your students or a group of students to come prepared with cooked up, cooked up any cooked up dishes and all. You can ask them to mix and match at the classroom as well. This gives them enough practice on two different skills. First is definitely cooking and serving. It's a necessary skill, life skill, and at the same time, it helps them to understand the chemistry part of it. Like they can get some idea about how chemistry works. Session planner is when you ask your students or a group of students, rather, again I'm using the words, you have to, like, you can function, you can design your classes and sessions in a way that either you can make them individual games or group activities. So session planner is when a teacher gives chance to a group of people or a particular person or a particular student to plan the session for that day. That is, plan the session, plan the class for that day, and he or she, the teacher, would give almost all the students a fair chance to plan a class throughout the session. That is for 6 months, 7 months, or maybe for a year. And at the end, some of them will probably get multiple chances if they are good at it. And at the end of the session, you declare the winner, who was the best master session planner. So you can do that as well. Now, Mr. and Miss Solution, you can start giving them bookish problems, and at the same time, if they are good at solving bookish problems, you can give them real life problems as well. This actually gives them enough practice on problem solving skills. And you declare Mr. or Miss Solution to the person as the person who solved, according to you as a teacher, the most relevant or most critical problem in the most relevant manner. So you can do that as well. Super exhibitor is when you ask a group of students or a student to do an exhibition, to run an exhibition on one of the most critical chapters of your syllabus. So he or she can do exhibitions, or a group of people can do exhibitions, and the best party, the best group can be declared as the winner, as the super exhibitor. It actually works for any in any subject, not just my subject. Can work for any subject. The super exhibitor, Mr. and Miss Solution, session planner, okay, a merger. These are the games which you can. These are the activities which you can play almost in any class. Okay. So the thing is, next, moving on, there is Globeopter. Most of us have globes in our classroom, or we take globes to our classroom, and you would ask the students to make it go for a spin, rotate it, and then stop the rotating globe by your finger, and the part of the continent or the part of the country your student is touching on. Uh, the students have to come up with the capital of that country, the name of the capital of the country. Or what we can do is we know that there are a few people, there are a few students who are over smart, who try to act over smart. If they come up with the water part of it, then you have to the students would be asked to come up with 5 countries that particular water body is touching upon. Okay, so 5 particular countries. So that is how these geography classes can be gamified. Okay, the names of the countries and capital and all. The soil collector is, you would ask your students, almost everyone, you can go for this activity throughout the year. Actually, you can ask the students to go home and collect their local soil and come back to the class again tomorrow or maybe the day after, and then they have to analyze the soil, and they have to analyze the characteristics of the soil. And throughout the year we can run this activity, and at the same time, at the end of it, according to you, if somebody was the best analyzer of that particular soil, or any soil rather, any kind of soil, you would give them the title of soil collector, best soil collector. So you can go for leaderboards and for batches and for other appreciating activities. Jumbled age is when we ask the students. Yes, I get that. All this was done by assistant teachers. Excellent. I'm really happy. I'm sure that most of the teachers do all these activities and all that. So jumbled age is when when you divide the class into 2 groups. Maybe a group from the 1600s and another group from the 1800s, and each group has to come up with the best characteristics of that particular age, and they have to argue on which age stands out or which age topples the other one. Okay, so you can make a mock fight between the different ages. You can simulate the entire thing. This is how the jumbled age activity or game works. Mailbox is when you ask your students to send you mails, and the most number of relevant mails you get from a student, you declare him or her the winner. This actually gives them enough practice on corporate setting. Like you are sending mails. It's not a matter of joke. I mean, even the adult ones, they do not know how to send mails. So I guess mailbox activity is important, that you actually give them enough practice on corporate communication as well. Memer is when you ask the students to turn any uh, like ludicrous situation or maybe happy situation into memes. And the best memer can be termed as the memer of the week or memer of the month, maybe. Okay, it actually helps to uplift the overall mood of the classroom. If you are talking about this particular exercise or game, rather activity. Mentorship is when you ask, you allot a senior to a junior student, and that senior student would get double the point if the junior student comes up with different activities and if he does well. Like if the junior gets 1 point for guiding that person, for guiding him or her, the mentor he has got, the student from senior classes, would get twice the point. Okay, so this is how the seniors can remain motivated, can go on with their work, and at the same time, even we are trying to uh, cash in on the rapport or the chemistry between a senior and a junior. Like water suction, physics again. So you'd ask students to use a straw, and the students would not be allowed to drink water or the liquid. They would just try to suck it out of the glass or bottle, maybe. And this is how you would give them a lesson on air pressure, maybe. This is an excellent activity, I guess. People would love it. Students would love this activity. Captain Planet is declared when you divide your class into different groups, and or maybe individually you run this activity or game rather, where the student with the least amount of plastics, who uses least amount of plastic, or maybe who come by cycle, or who come by a cycle, or maybe who walks to the school, or someone who recycles things a lot, would be uh, termed as billed as Captain Planet. Okay, so we're taking care of environment as well through these innovative games and all. Hostel boss is when you make someone in charge for a particular hostel in charge for a particular week or maybe particular month. There, he or she will be given a fixed budget, and he or she have to has to he or she has to like work within the limits. So that is how you can give them enough practice on real life situations and economics and demand and supply and all. Chartbuster is nothing but the battle of charts. As teachers, I'm sure most of you are aware that we go for charts. We ask the students to make charts, and there we can organize inter-school chart competitions, the Chartbuster, and the class with the best chart or charts would be declared the winner, and they can be or maybe house. We can declare the house the winner. Call a senior. This actually is to mimic how IITs and IIMs work. Now, the best part about being like getting into IITs and IIT is IIM is to get brilliant seniors, brilliant alumni associations. So what you can do is you can ask the students, or you can divide them into different groups, and you can ask the students to call their senior, pass out seniors, or maybe some seniors who are 2 or 3 class above them, and make friends with them, like make them friends, befriend them, and at the same time, this is how you give them enough practice on how to maintain rapport and how to build your network, because it actually helps. Your network is your net worth. So this is how you call a senior, and you increase your connection, the number of people who are in your connection. Okay. Smooth talker is someone when you'd ask the students to open up a conversation by just uh, uttering one sentence, and the other group has to come up with a relevant second sentence, and the other one again has to come up with a third sentence. So this sequence goes on until one group fails to come up with a relevant sentence, and the other group is declared as the smoke talker group of the week or of the month. These are the winner games. I've mentioned around 24 games so far. Now, moving on, the right picture on the, on the, on the right side and the left side, you have a picture. So you have two pictures rather, photos rather. On the left side, you this is where I work, my school. This is how we paint. We have painted and our classrooms, and you can do that as well at your school. You can go for numbering the classes, and you can ask the students to touch the number you want them to touch. Okay, so uh, 4 plus 1, 5. They would touch the 5, number 5, and if they cannot reach out, you help them to reach out, touching that number 5. On the right side, we have again, it's a photo from my school. Merit and demerit points. We use stars for leaderboards and all, and this is how you can develop your system at your school, where the students will be given 1 star for their assignments, 1 for sports, and 1 for doing well in people skills. If somebody is not very good at assignments, doing assignments, he or she would have enough opportunities in the sports and people skills department. So they have that freedom to choose their ability to do stuffs or complete stuffs. And at the end of the session, you can declare by adding up the points of each of those sectors who's the star student or student of the year to a certain extent of your class or of your school, maybe on a greater level. I do this a lot when somebody does okayish or does pretty well above your expectations. Give a thumbs up in their exercise book. When somebody has done really well, give a smiley. And if somebody has done exceedingly well, don't just write good or very good. Give them a heart. This is how they get motivated. This is how they get pumped up for next classes and all that. And at the same time, you can gamify the whole experience again. The student with most hearts or the student with most smileys would be declared the winner of particular competition. This is how you gamify the whole experience again. Okay, so moving on. For teachers, these are not the games to a certain extent, but they can say at the same time, game-like elements can be introduced using these accessories. The teachers can actually use these accessories. With Blurb, we can publish photo books and journals and all, and we can gamify the whole experience. We can run a competition on who publishes the best photo book among the students. Poll everywhere. You can go for polls, online polls. Again, you can do that. Neopod and Animoto can be used to animate the whole session. You can animate the session. You can use videos, recorded videos. Again, Slack. I'm sure most of you are aware of Slack, where you can actually run competitions involving the students, the teachers, and the parents, because they have this situation, like they have this facility as well. So involving parents would be a good idea. Good idea, I guess. Oxford Educate and Adobe for Education is also there. For your kind information, I'll be repeating the apps again. You can go and find out. Blurb, Poll Everywhere, Nearpod, Animoto, Slack, Oxford Educate, Adobe for Education. For coding is the future, I guess. Even Elon Musk would agree to this point. For coding, for basic coding, you can ask the students to use these platforms. They also gamify the whole experience for the students. Mimo, Code Academy, Grasshopper, Solo Learn, Udacity. Mimo, Code Academy, Grasshopper, Solo Learn, Udacity. Okay, so the thing is, you can ask your students. You can do it yourself as well. They are great at starting from the scratch. You as a teacher can also learn a few things from them. And mind you, the gaming industry, the learning, like game-based learning industry is valued at 5.8 billion right now. and they have a CAGR, that is annual growth possibility of 21.2 for the next 4-5 years. So it's a great opportunity for teachers as well. If you learn to code, if you learn to develop games, you can go for other career options as well, by the way. So now on the left, these are the like recent numbers. By June, around June 9, 2021, on Apple App Store, games were downloaded, available apps were, the games were the most available apps, 21.49%. Education apps came third, 8.67%. So you know your possibilities. The possibilities are endless, rather. Now, on the right side, Mark Prensky, back in 2001, around 21 years ago, predicted that since at that point of time, an average student spends less than 5,000 hours reading in his entire life, but more than 10,000 hours playing digital online games. So there's a lot of possibility when you use games and when you use gamified learning and gamified experience for your classes. So the possibilities are endless. Okay, for your help, I have enlisted a few Android apps which uses gamification and game-based learning. Khan Academy, it has a rating of 4.7 out of 5 on App Store, Android App Store, Play Store rather. Then Mental VP is there, 4.5, 4.4 rating. English Kit 4.5 is suitable for pre-primary students, and Mental VP is suitable for students between pre-primary and grade 2. Elevate is rated 4.5 and it got featured in CNET and Washington Post. Elevate is it helps you to concentrate, or mind games rather. It helps you to focus and concentrate. On the other hand, English Kit, as the name suggests already, it's on developing the English skills, speaking and listening skills of your kid. Khan Academic Kids has got a lot of different array of games and gamified experiences based on different subjects. Cadbury Playpad is an excellent opportunity for the students or the teachers to give them practice on geography and history, where the students would get characters like Chota Singham and Chota Bheem, Motu Patlu, and all the popular favorite cartoon characters. Angry Birds and Bad Piggies, the basic laws of physics they can learn from these games and experiences, gamified experiences. Android app, again, Duolingo, 4.5 rating, already more than 12 million downloads. So Duolingo is a very, very popular app among the students and the parents as well. Duolingo gives you enough practice, like practice on different languages. Now you can learn a lot of languages, different languages from this particular app. Inky gives you some exposure about coding. Cake, again, an app for English students. Games are there, videos are there, you can gamify the whole experience. The history of everything, I'm sure you know this, history teachers know this particular app, 4.5 rating. Kahoot, again, I've already seen that some of you have mentioned Kahoot. You can actually design any different quiz competitions on different subjects using Kahoot. Gamekeeper, probably one of the best apps for giving some lessons on chemistry. So Gamekeeper is there. Now, if somebody is a bit more sophisticated regarding their mobile devices and all that, they actually use iOS devices, that is Apple devices. For them also, from iOS devices, I have my options. Motion Math follows UQ curriculum. Then Photo Math is there. You take a photo and it takes 5 to 6 seconds and then it solves the entire problem. Brilliant is there. Brilliant is there. It's kind of OTT experience for the students, and it clears the concepts on STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and medical STEM concepts. Great for STEM concepts. Lego Star Wars Battles. It is strategy-oriented game. You can ask your students to go for a practice on strategies and maybe mental games and problem solving and all, which is there, which is based on spaced repetition learning. Tapioca gives you practice on EQ, emotional quotient. EQ again gives you practice on EQ, emotional quotient, facial expressions, and body language. And Peak again is based on problem solving. So these are the apps which you can download, or you ask your students to download, and you can gamify the whole experience for your students. Why storytelling? How could you forget storytelling as an option? I'll just give you an example. Uh, a few nations get together at a particular world meet, and there Canada would come up and say to India that so you have taken one quality from our country, the federation with a strong center quality. And Australia would say yes, and they have taken the concurrent list for their constitution. And at the same time, probably USSR would say, former USSR, by the way, nowadays it's Russia, say fundamental duties. You have taken fundamental duties, and India would reply back like a boss with swag that brothers and sisters, uh, you have failed to take one lesson, or rather a few lessons. We are the biggest democracy on this earth first, and the second thing is one of the oldest civilizations still on earth. So you have probably failed to take that lesson as well. So you're storyfying, you're gamifying your experience. You go for storytelling, and storytelling is important, is crucial, or rather, it works not only for the kids but for the adults as well. You are storyfying the lesson. Just a few seconds back, I was storyfying or storyfied the concepts, the chapter which says characteristics of Indian Constitution, which were borrowed from other nations or other countries. So you can storyfy a particular concept or a chapter in that way. You can give a class its wholesome quality, wholesome capacity to be more productive. Since we have already mentioned storytelling, how can you forget about case studies? Now, case study is a vehicle by which a chunk of reality is brought into the classroom to be worked over by the class and the instructor. Now, last session, back in December, I did a session with Center again, and I got a question like, "Sir, we'd love to get a few one or two case studies." So, case studies, you can again gamify the whole experience of learning regarding like introducing case studies into your classroom. For example, in a physics class, if I was a physics teacher, I would say, I would ask the students, did you come back? How would you explain law of inertia? So if the student comes up with, "Sir, the thing is, I was coming by bus, and the bus driver actually pressed the brake, and I was almost falling over. And at the same time, when the bus started again, he pressed on the accelerator hard, and I was falling over again on my back." So this is how you are using case studies, real life scenarios, real life experiences in the classroom. In this case, you're trying to get some idea about inertia of motion and inertia of rest and all. So again, moving on. By the way, how many of us knew the fact that Elon Musk has his own school, Ad Astra, right? There, according to Astra Report, the kids work together in teams and explore non-traditional topics. And Elon Musk is someone who takes artificial intelligence and robotics very seriously. So even to this school, even his kids go to this school actually. In fact, for a matter of fact, he actually built the school only for his children to go to that particular school, and he made the private tutor of his kids the principal of the school. So Elon Musk being Elon Musk, so he did that. So we actually, there are schools like this, and Elon Musk has this Ad Astra school where you would get gamified experiences a lot. Uh, I would request teachers who are attending this webinar and would watch this webinar, recorded version of it later on, please get these certifications. Microsoft Educator, Google Educator, Dell Education Leaders, Apple Teacher. So mostly these are free certifications, but this helps a lot in order to understand the class dynamics better. And last but not the least, this is more resources for you. Actionable game. I would like you to read these books. Actionable Gamification, Beyond Points, Badges and Leaderboards by Yu Kai Chow. Gamify by Brian Burke. Game On by Kevin Bell. The Gamification of Learning and Instruction Field book by Cobb, Blair and Mesh. There are YouTube channels as well. Gamify is one channel which I follow a lot. TEDx Talks you can follow, because a lot of gamers and game educators, game-based educators come to that platform and they express their mind. You can watch the YouTube channel Growth Engineering channel as well. Growth Engineering channel. You can visit and be a member of these Facebook pages. Gamification in Education, Game-Based Learning, Gamification and Games in Education. Both of these are Facebook pages. That's my visiting card, virtual visiting card to a certain extent. I would love to help you personally or your school or college. If I get a chance, if I get invited, I would love to help you and your students, your teachers and students to with my limited knowledge. This is you can take a screenshot of it, or you can send me a request on LinkedIn. I'm available there. So moving on, I'm Gay. Questions, please. I'm done with the session. I would like to get your questions. We still have around 10 minutes. So we can stop the presentation and we can start taking questions. Right? Is anyone there from center?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I have been posting these things, sir.
Sorry? I would like to take questions, by the way.
There is there's a teacher. Hello, sir. There is a teacher who is asking, can we use this gamification for classes like grades 1 and 2? There is lower grades.
Obviously you can. See, as a teacher, you have the absolute freedom to work at will. Okay, you just as teachers, we have to have that mindset like we own the class. Okay, you just go like a boss and then you start doing this, because I have mentioned around 70 different resources, like including games and apps and activities and all. You can pick and choose and then you can use it. You know your students the best. So I would like to request you to use that, and I would love to get feedback from your side as well, whether it works or not.
Sir, there is one more question by Raya Mandal. There are so many load of completing the curriculum. How is it possible to go with all without running short of time? If yes, then how?
It is absolutely possible. If you recap the entire thing, I mean, I'm sure you will be rewatching this if you are serious enough. Yeah, you'll be rewatching the entire session and all. I didn't mention costly options. First of all, the activities, the games, the things which I mentioned, they are not costly. First of all, they're cost effective. It just needs your presence of mind. One thing, first thing, so which you can actually use without any TLMs or accessories. So if you do not have to get anything extra for your classes, you are saving your time first. The second thing is, I think the online platforms are more time bound. Nowadays, White Hat Junior, they are using Minecraft games for their lessons, coding lessons and all that. The teachers who work with White Hat Junior and Byju's and all, they are working on a tighter schedule. Even they are able to, if they are able to finish their job, I'm sure we can as well.
Thank you for your reply, sir. There is Mr. Dheeraj Kumar asking, is it feasible in senior classes? How?
It is feasible in senior classes. I mean, it actually works more for the senior classes, I guess, because there the students are a bit mature. They are not like, for example, cook and serve that I mentioned. It applies for the adults mainly, right? And at the same time, arguments, debates, they are suitable for the adult students mostly. So I'm repeating myself again here. Uh, I've mentioned 70 different resources. Mostly, there are around 40 to 50 different games and activities and all that. I'm sure you'll find out that at least 10 to 15 games are or can be uh, like like tailor made for your senior classes, irrespective of your subject, by the way. Which subject you
Mr.
teach?
Shantanu
I'm not sure. So, yes.
Mr. Shantanu is asking, can you give any ideas for students of 11th and 12th grade for preparing JEE and NEET exams?
Case studies, I guess. Case studies, I guess. I'm not the best person, by the way. I'm telling you this. I'm from humanities background. I'm not the best person to tell you about IIT, JEE, and all that. Those are like, I mean, alien to me. Those ideas are alien to me. But one thing I can assure you, sir. I think it's a sir, man. Sir, I guess, sir or ma'am. Sir,
Sir,
right?
sir, Mr.
So,
Shantanu.
sir, it's my
Yeah.
request to you that you know your subject the best, and at the same time, for IIT, JEE or JEE preparations and all that, what you can do is you can gamify the whole learning by asking them to teach. Since they are preparing for IIT, JEE, and JAM and all, they are mature enough to teach. So ask them to prepare one or two chapters or concepts on their own, and ask them to teach that in the next class. If they are able to teach you the stuffs, the chapter, I think you would understand that. You find out that okay, fine, probably they have understood the concepts rather, because it is extremely difficult, challenging for any teacher to teach and like subjects and concepts which are there in their syllabus, like IIT and IIT JEE and all that jam. They are very critical. So if a student is able to teach that thing to you and to the entire class, probably he or she has understood the whole concept. So teaching would be a part of gamification as well. You just gamify the whole teaching experience again, and after a month or so, after a month of teaching, you ask your 15, 20 students to teach each and every day, and at the end of the month you declare the winner, that he was the best teacher. I think he'll do really, really well in his or her exam.
There is one more question, sir, from one of the teachers. What is the benefit of enrolling with Microsoft or Google Educator?
The benefits are there for the taking only if you are interested enough. See, what happens is courses are mostly a piece of paper if you don't know how to use it. Okay, so what you can do is it is not going to help you directly to gamify the whole experience, I guess, but at least you get some idea about the intricacies of different uh, teaching aids and how to use their products to the best effect while gamifying your whole classroom and all that. Because I don't know a single computer teacher who would lecture an entire class about uh, Microsoft Excel, MS Excel rather. MS Excel is something which is done in hand. It is not possible to deliver a lecture on MS Excel. So I guess Microsoft Educator would give you some idea, or rather more than enough, good enough idea about MS Excel problem. So you know their products better, so that you can gamify the whole experience. It can actually enhance your entire classroom, or amplify the whole experience.
There are so many appreciations for this session, sir, for you. Lots and
Thank
lots
you.
of teachers are appreciating. Yeah. Yes, sir. Uh, thank you, Akrapa, sir, for a very engaging and informative session for our community of teachers. I'm sure that our teachers have got a lot of takeaways for this from this session. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
all the participants, for engaging with us today. To register for more such upcoming webinars, please visit my center. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.